Hi, my name's Samuel Findlay, and you're listening to the ACES podcast. In this episode, I share a conversation with ACES collaborator and orthopaedic surgeon, Associate Professor Claudia Di Bella. We speak about her career in medicine and how she got to where she is today, moving to Australia from Italy, her work with ACES, playing professional water polo, and much more. So let's get to our chat. So I'm chatting to Associate Professor Claudia Di Bella on the podcast today. Claudia, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
How are you at the moment? Obviously, COVID's changed our work and life quite somewhat. How have you been?
No, here is fine. Obviously, we are in Victoria at the moment. Not the best of the times, but we're coping all right. And with my kind of work, it's one of those things that we keep on working. We just try and keep safe and help everyone else maintain this safety.
So jumping into your work, I want to go back to, I guess, the beginning. So you're an orthopedic surgeon, but I want to know, why did you decide to, start that career path way back in the day?
That's an interesting question. It's I really don't know. Well, firstly, for sure, I love surgery. I like results, quick results with what I do, and I'm very, handy. So I like, I just love surgery. I was a professional athlete when I was young. So,
oh, really?
I used to play water polo, and my goal was to help athletes. So originally, I thought that orthopedics, in terms of sport surgery, was my my path. But then I just fell in love with the oncology world, which is very different. And so I married that with oncology orthopedics, which is now my subspecialty in orthopedics. And that's a little bit of my story in a nutshell.
Wow. So when you say you were a professional athlete in that field, how far did you go with that?
I used to play for the junior Italian team in water polo, and all my teammates ended up winning the Olympic Games.
Wow.
So I was a professional athlete. I won the European Championships and Italian Championship a couple of times. I absolutely loved that. But then I had to choose between medicine and sport, and I think I did all right.
Yeah. So do you still play today?
Not much. I have my right rotator cuff is not playing with me anymore.
Oh no.
So I've got it's not a proper injury, but I can't really do overhead activities very in a powerful way. But I love still watching the sport and being in contact with teams, and I hope my kids maybe one day can.
So you mentioned that you played for the Italian team there. You're originally from Italy, correct?
That is correct. Yes, I'm Italian.
Right. Whereabouts in Italy?
I was born down in the south in Sicily, small place. And then I moved up in the north to do orthopedics, because there is a very big orthopedic institute up in Bologna. And when I decided that I want to do orthopedics, in Italy, that's the place to go. It's one of the biggest institute in Europe of orthopedics. And the University of Bologna is the oldest university in Europe, so it's got very prestigious name. So I chased that dream. And so I graduated in Bologna as an orthopedic surgeon, and then just fell in love with Australia after 6 months of research fellowship here in Melbourne, and I just didn't look back.
Right. So you did both your undergraduate and your postgraduate degree at the University of Bologna?
Yes, that's right. So I did. I started university down in Catania in Sicily, but then I finished my studies, my university degree in Bologna, and then I did my orthopedic training in Bologna as well. Yeah.
Right. So for that PhD, what did you do?
That was half. I was still with the University of Bologna, the PhD, but I finished that when I was already in Australia. So it was half done in Bologna and half here in Australia, but it was awarded by the University of Bologna.
Right. And you mentioned coming to Australia. Can you, I guess, talk a little bit how that came about?
Well, I always loved research, and during my training as an orthopedic surgeon, I did a 6 months of fellowship. That was actually something a little bit different, was in microsurgery, but still with a tissue engineering component. So I came here to Australia at the Bernard O'Brien Institute here in Melbourne, and that was just for a 6 months period, and I absolutely fell in love with this place. So when I finished my training in Italy, because obviously I had to go back, then I tried everything to come back, and it was 2 years of sweat to be able to come back, but it paid off in the end.
So after your studies, did you jump straight into professional work?
Yes. Well, after my studies and PhD, I did my PhD whilst then I was already working as a consultant orthopedic surgeon. And that was in Italy. And then when I came here, I had to still do some supervised practice to gain my fellowship as orthopedic surgeon accredited here in Australia. So it's still full-time work. And then, research was sort of, on top of that full-time work. It's a little bit more complicated sometimes as a medical practitioner.
So you're at St Vincents Hospital in Melbourne. You've been there for a while as well, but you're also a senior research fellow at the University of Melbourne. How did that come about?
Well, when I came here, probably it was, maybe I was the right person at the right time, because the head of unit of orthopedics here at St Vincent's is a very, it's Professor Peter Chung, and he's very keen on very good quality research. So, that was my background. I used to do research as well when I was in Italy. So that was a good link for me. And that's why I started to do research here in Melbourne as well, whilst performing, my clinical activities as an orthopedic surgeon.
Right, and speaking of Professor Peter Chung there, and who's an ACES collaborator, as are you, how did that collaboration begin, or more so, how did your involvement in that collaboration begin? Obviously, you're working on the BioPen, the Excelder pen. When did you jump into that project?
Yeah, that was actually the very, very, very beginning. So when I joined the team of Professor Chung, that was literally 10 years ago now. My background was in bone tissue engineering and regeneration, but he was more keen on exploring the field of cartilage tissue engineering. So I sort of reinvented myself, and we started working on that. And that's more or less when the collaboration with Professor Gordon Wallace started. We really from nothing, from ideas mainly from Peter and Gordon, then we sort of created this pathway of research. And at the beginning, it was literally simply me, Peter Chung, and a research assistant. And then slowly we managed to build a team, and I was lucky enough to recruit a couple of exceptional researchers from Italy, Serena Ducchi and Carmine Onofrillo, who really have helped significantly on building now the kind of research hub that we have created, and the work with Excelder and the Excelder pen.
Right, and a lot of that work obviously has to do with bioprinting and 3D printing. How did you adapt to being involved in a project that involves so much work like that?
It is time consuming, but time management is the most important thing, and collaborations. This is one thing that I learned a lot by working with Peter and Gordon, and is about using your expertise for the team. So I can't know everything, and I've got my niche of expertise. And then when you start collaborating with people that have other kind of expertise, then you really build that team that can create something magical. And that's what happened with the BioPen and with the biofabrication. I know, and I have the expertise on the clinical problem and the issue that we face as surgeons every day. And then simply by talking to people that have other expertise, then you realize, your solution for other issues can actually really help the problem that we have here. And that's the way you start finding good solutions for something that hasn't been solved before.
Sure. And, just talking about the biopen Excelder pen there, that's one project you're working on, but obviously you wear a number of hats. So outside of that project, what are you working on at the moment?
So that's one, you're right. Being an oncology orthopedic surgeon, my love and my other love is helping people with bone cancers. So within the tissue engineering and the biofabrication lab, we're working on building 3D models for osteosarcoma, which is another project in that lab. And also there is a lot of clinical research in the world of
Sure.
sarcoma that I'm very interested in. And I supervise a number of students, medical students also, that work with me in clinical research. So this is for my research hat in terms of practical research, and then there is all the admin roles that that are on top of that.
So speaking of that hat there, how do you go juggling the many hats that you wear?
I don't know. I just go with the flow, really. It's time management, as I was saying before. It's making sure that I have some really time that is set up only for certain things, and whatever thing I need to do, I just, if I have 2 hours, I will just work, really hard for those 2 hours, because I know that afterwards I have something else I might need to operate or to, be in clinic. So it's trying to make the most out of those working hours.
So how about life outside of work? What do you do in your downtime?
Well, it's not really downtime. I have a family. I have 2 young kids. They are 4 and 6. So it's actually harder during the weekend than during the working hours in the week. I absolutely love that, and that is what gives me obviously the energy for everything else. So my after work time is spent with the family, and lots of sport with them. And both of them, and my son now that he's a little bit older, he absolutely loves sport. So we playing literally everything that has got a ball. We play constantly. So that's my after hours play.
Great. And a question I've asked everyone that I get on the podcast is if they've got a morning routine, or doesn't necessarily have to be a morning routine, but maybe something that they do every single day that helps them and tackle their work.
Look, I envy people that that have a morning routine. I don't know. I don't. And sometimes people feel like, oh, if I don't have a morning routine, that means that I'm not well organized enough. And I'm happy to say, I don't think that that's the case. I don't have a morning routine because my mornings are always very, very different. There is times when I have meetings at 6:30 and times when I can come to work at 9. So I don't, but I try and keep healthy as much as I can. So one thing that I changed lately is simply just organizing my meals every day, because otherwise, with the hectic day, you end up just eating bites here and there, and then by mid-afternoon you feel really, really tired simply because you haven't eaten well. So for me, it's trying to really keep healthy, at least from this side of things, and then enjoying as soon as I come back home. That's then when I can really re-enjoy the rest of life.
So you probably answered this question earlier on, but I wonder, if you weren't doing what you do for a living, what do you think you might be doing as another career?
I don't know. I don't think I would have been good at anything else.
Except for sport.
I love sport. Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe, but no, I'm not. I mean, I was good at sport because I used to use my brain more than my body. I'm not super physically strong or fast. So I don't know. I actually don't know if I would have been good at anything else. I used to love thinking that I might have become an architect, maybe.
Okay.
But then there was, law of physics that didn't really sit with me well. So I don't know. Maybe I would have become a carpenter.
So do you think playing sport at that professional level has helped your career?
No doubt about this. I played a team sport, and I find them really, helping people coping with life, because, being in a team is actually then a training for then being in life when you grow up. And it was beautiful. It was one of the most exciting experience that I've had, and I played water polo for many years. It was a fantastic opportunity for me to learn really how a team works and how be supportive of everyone all the time. And we all make mistakes, and you need to accept your own mistakes and other people's mistakes and learn from them. And that was one of the biggest teaching for me that I think helped me significantly then developing in this career. And that's something that I'm trying to teach my kids as well, as they grow older.
Yeah, and I guess leading on from that and what you've just said there, I wonder if there's any advice maybe you can give someone who is either thinking about going on a similar career path to yourself in medicine, and also about someone, in the world of collaboration and approaching collaboration.
Yeah, well, one thing that I say, and especially as a woman in this field, we're not that many, is just simply never give up. If it is something that you love and you think you can really follow that path, just keep going, because we do have a lot of roadblocks. We have a lot of obstacles that often we have to juggle. I think about when I wanted to come to Australia, and it took a long time, and I had a lot of really stops there. And for a moment I thought maybe that's not the thing that that I should do, but I knew deep down that was the right thing to do. So I think that listening to ourselves and to our more gut feeling kind of thing is very, very important. And never let anyone tell you no. If it's something that you want to do, work the hardest that you can to really achieve that, and probably you will be rewarded. That's one thing that I learned, and as well, to reconnect with the sport example. I'm not the strongest, the fastest, the tallest, but I managed to play in a very, very successful team, and I was a key element in that team. And that means that for me, that no matter what you have, you can give something to a team field, a team circumstance, and that is what makes that team exceptional. That everyone brings their own expertise, and just be yourself.
Great advice. So just to finish up the podcast, I wonder if you can maybe speak on any future plans or collaborations, and also the next step for yourself in the BioPen and ExcelDepen project.
I don't know. I don't know where this path is going to take me, and that's probably the exciting part of it. I look in the future and I have all these dreams, but then it's always very, very different. What happens is actually very, very different. And that's similar to what happened to me. I would have never imagined 10 years ago that I would have ended up in Australia doing what I'm doing. So that's the beautiful thing. I see where things can go, and I hope that, for example, with the Excel, that we can really reach to the commercial goal and get really into that field. I just hope that my team can grow, and I work for my team, and I really hope that the people that I brought here, for example, to Australia, they will grow becoming professors themselves and really make their own pathway and change things in their own field. So that's a very general pathway, and that's one thing that I try to keep. I like to keep it very broad, because if I get too much focused on I want to get just to one little goal, then you tend to get upset if that doesn't happen. So it's dreaming big, thinking big, and one step at a time.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to chat to you on the podcast, and all the best.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Sam.
Thanks for listening to the ACES podcast. For more episodes like this one, be sure to subscribe wherever it is you get your podcasts. You can also find more information about ACES on our website, electromaterials.edu.au. There you'll find links to our various social media platforms. And you can also follow me on Twitter @SamuelFindlay. Until next time, thanks for listening.